Okay, again, I'm just kind of looking at. All right, so this actually came from a comment from one of Pablo's people, and so I'll just let Pablo share. Talk to us about Terry, what she said, kind of her background, and then what she mentioned of the people that showed up on our Zoom call in a very casual way.
Oh, okay. Great. I'll talk about that
Yeah,
now.
please.
Um, put me on the spotlight. So now, so on a coaching call I had with you, Alex, earlier. Well, um, you know, I just I was excited about, the this leadership builders kind of team and call and the opportunity, and I was like, I was almost hesitant to share, but I had an agent who had, um, she's been on pretty much all of the calls. And she's also a real estate agent. And I was telling her, I was like, how real estate agents have like a certain level um, of standard for, showmanship or presentation and style. Like everything's got to almost be like perfect, right? Because you think about they're showing homes constantly, so the homes have to be staged. Everything needs to be like kind of like perfect, so to speak, right? Although we know behind the scenes there's chaos and drama and all that stuff. But so as I was mentioning this, I said, well, the reason I bring that up is because she made a, a remark to me that she wanted to kind of share with you, but I was just going to share with you and kind of cut it a little bit and make it a little easier on her since she's newer. And so I said, she jumps on these calls, and in some of the calls are almost consistently like on the Monday night calls or whatever. She just said, um, she was asking about the level of professionalism that's expected, or I guess the standard again, right? And because she'll be on these calls and she'll see people that, some people have their camera off, like mine. I have my camera off right now because I'm going for a walk right now. So for you guys to see my head bouncing around, you probably hear it in my voice, wouldn't be helpful. But she says, okay, so some people have their cameras off, but then uh, some people have their cameras on, but it's almost like there's no awareness of professionalism because maybe the way that the person is situated in, not even in an office, maybe and again, not to call anyone out, right? But you guys, I think you get my drift. And so she was asking about that. Um, and she said, I have people that I would love to introduce them to the business. She said, but I know that if I invited them to this call, and she was, kind of talking about like other people in the same line of, real estate work. And she said, I know that if they came to this call and they saw that, they would jump off. They wouldn't even like, look at this business probably ever again, or at least not through us. And so I was like, I have to share this with Alex. So that was kind of that was the one point. I hope I didn't drag it out, but I think it's important to revisit, that topic
Yeah,
of presentation of ourselves.
absolutely. Kind of remind me of when we had a group of us doing the TWC and the Alliance, and there's probably about 500 to 700 agents on those TWCs, and I did a little preamble. Pablo's on there about camera presence, and just so you guys know, my background. I've done commercial acting, industrial films, modeling, because I've done stage performing. Okay, so when when you're doing a Zoom call, like especially a national Zoom call, you don't just show up as you are, right? Like to the point where I even throw a little bit of makeup on to get rid of some sheen. I don't do it on regular calls, but if I was doing the TWC, just because I know how to do that because of the stuff I've done on film and photo modeling and all that stuff, right? And just so you know, I was always the Asian the token Asian. So it's advantage in the Midwest to be Asian because I represented an entire, you know, just because out here in the Midwest, Chinese, Japanese, we all look alike, right? As far as the director's concerned, I kind of say it with tongue in cheek, but it's kind of true, right? That anybody that kind of looks Asian is Asian, so it represents a whole bunch of people. Anyway, the bottom line is, you all look good, man, and you also have to be aware of your camera presence. Like, for example, I'm not even looking at me, I'm looking into the camera, right? And I have this whole teaching actually. We did a video on this on how to look at people. Like, for example, the screen, the actual Zoom screen, I actually have a teleprompter. Okay. You should see my setup. It's Al Talib's been in my office. Al, you've seen my setup, right? My
Oh,
teleprompter.
big time, big time. In fact, I'm trying to model that actually. I'm trying to do that in my house, but I ain't there yet. But yeah, it's sweet. It's got everything for setting up and doing that.
Yeah, and I found some cheaper ways to do it. So I might even teach what to do. But okay, so for example, I have a monitor screen. So when I put just it won't mean anything to you because I'm doing it. So I'm staring at the camera. So I'm very much aware of the where the camera presence is because of my, acting days when I used to do this for money. Actually, I did it while I was an insurance agent because I had the freedom to go do gigs and get, called in to do this. I'm staring at the camera. Like I'm not staring at you. So my main monitor on my computer is right here. So I'm staring at me talking to you, right? And that's what most of y'all do, right? And I can look at you like Scott's driving, so obviously he's not looking. Actually, Rocco, you look pretty good because you're staring at the camera. John, Laura looks like she's looking down. Like if some of you have your cameras on, you know what I'm talking about. Hey, there's Pablo. It's easy because he's looking at his camera, right? So anyway, I'm looking at me. Most people just look at their Zoom screen. Do you see how annoying that is? It's like you're talking to someone without looking at them. Like if you're doing Zoom sales, the worst thing you can do is this. Like I am not connecting with you, am I? Right? I am not connecting with you because I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at me talking to you. And that's what most of y'all do on Zoom. It's like insane. And you have no clue you're doing it. You have no clue. And you think you're connecting with the client or you're connecting with the people on the Zoom. Okay. So let me switch back to the camera. So now I'm looking at the camera. Make sense? I'm looking at the camera. And even though I'm not looking at me or I'm not looking at the client, I still have the eye contact on you. It's like I'm looking at you in your eyes. Although I'm looking at a camera, and actually I'm not even looking at a camera because I have a teleprompter. So the teleprompter, I'm looking at a teleprompter screen, right? This is how I can, I've done teleprompter work too in acting and in presenting where I don't have to memorize anything and I can just read off teleprompter. And I've done pretty good teleprompter work. But anyway, the bottom line is I'm looking at you, aren't I? Like I'm connecting with you because I'm looking right into your eyes because I'm looking at the camera. But I have no feedback on me. So when I move my screen into the teleprompter screen, now I'm looking at me and I'm looking at you, right? And if I'm talking to you, like if you're on the screen too, like I have it in gallery mode, what I do is I put your face in the screen. Like when I was doing, Pablo and I were talking, I put Pablo's screen, his face, his part screen right in front of where the camera lens is. So I'm talking to Pablo and Pablo's looking at me. I'm looking at him, you know. Some of you have seen that video I did on camera presence and how important it is. And it cracks me up because people don't think it's important or you're not even aware of it. Like how many of you were even aware that you're not looking at the person? Like I'd say probably half the people on here have no clue that they're not looking at the person they're talking to on Zoom, right? Uh, you may be, but you're not doing a good job at faking it, right? Faking it is looking at the camera. So that's why I'm a big proponent of, if you don't have the setup that I have, like my camera, it's a A6400, Sony A6400. I don't expect you to spend $700 on a camera, but to me, let me tell you, man, this is how important it is. Like I get this all the time from the Alliance people. Like, man, your camera's awesome. Well, yeah, because I invested money in it because I emphasize that it's very important to look good on a Zoom call if I'm running it, especially, right? And you guys would have no hesitation on inviting anyone to a call like this because of how I look, the presenter, right? I'm just assuming, but if I had one of those crappy cameras that some of y'all have, you know, and I'm in my t-shirt and I'm sitting back like this going, "Hey gang, let me welcome you to the Avian Financial Group." Actually, I'm not even I'm looking off. "Hey gang, Avian Financial Group, we are into the digital revolution. We're fired up about this opportunity." And and you're picking your nose and oh man. Okay, am I making a point? Here's the real point though, is that if you treat this business casually, you're going to get casual results. If you treat the business like a hobby, you're going to get hobby results. How many people make money with their hobbies? Okay. I don't know of anyone that does. If
Just
they,
go into debt, more debt with that.
yeah, right. Exactly. So it's a real thing. So here's the deal. If you can't look good on a Zoom call, then turn your camera off because you're hurting everyone else's business. Remember that people have new people on these calls because they're brand new. And if we don't uphold standards, you're hurting everyone else's business. And how selfish is that, right? How selfish of you to come on these calls looking like crap and you're hurting my business. You're hurting everyone else's business that actually care to show up very professionally. Yeah, like I'll tell you, Tabitha, when Tabitha has a call with me, a coaching call, man, she looks great. She looks great anyway. But she has this elegance about her that just sort of her vibe is that way anyway. I don't think Tabitha could ever look bad. Okay. But that's just kind of her focus. She's super sharp and she has this mentality of presenting super well. And so that's an attitude. It's an attitude and mindset of treating your business like a business, of being very intentional is a great word. I think that's what I'm looking for. Very intentional about how she treats what she's doing and wants to present well, right? And we want not only our clients to think well of us, that we care enough to look good and to look at them in the camera, right? Because we want to maintain eye contact. Okay. It's like when you are with someone, I focus on who I'm talking to. Like, does this drive you crazy when you're talking to someone, it's like they nod at you and they're checking out the chick, on the cross the room and man, that honey looks fine in their mind. And then they nod at you. Yeah, yeah. They're looking off again. Doesn't make you feel important, does it? It makes you feel like really small. Okay. And we're not in the business of making people feel small. We're in the business of being a service to people and to building them up as to, what they're looking for from us, needing from us in terms of service. Okay. And it's important. It really is important. You know, my background is laid out very specifically, right? All of y'all, this is not random. In fact, if I scan the camera up, all my pictures stop right here. It's blank wall above there. Why? Because I position everything like my family. And then, you should have some sense that I have a faith life without even saying that I have a faith life, but you should have some sense of me that I love my family, right? It's very meticulous in what I'm trying to convey. And if yours background is like, you drinking with your buddies in college or something like that, then you're not being intentional about what you're trying to convey to people. I see a hand up. So who's got their hand up? You can unmute. Or do we have a guest on the call? We're way beyond a guest showing up. Yeah, I don't see any guests. But there's someone had a hand up. Did someone have a comment or question?
Looked like it was your hand up.
Oh, it was? Well, it was brown. So anyway. Okay. So I'm trying to keep this light. I don't want to come off sounding hard, but I want to be, very straightforward and serious with you. Like my lighting is very meticulous. Like I study this, okay, as if you couldn't tell. I have a 3-point lighting is what they call. And you can look it up on, I learned all this stuff on the internet, gang. I Googled what's the best type of lighting. So point one, the main headlight. I've got a backlight, two backlights, one head level. You can kind of see the sheen on my cheek, right? That's that light right there. And then I have an upper light that's backlighting me. Why? Because you see the lighting on my shoulders, it outlines behind me, right? You can sort of see my shoulders are outlined, right? And I don't need the second light here is supposed to be dimmer, right? That's coming off this side of my face. That's because I have my office window right here and it sheds just enough light to make this darker. I've got a higher contrast here, right? So now my face is framed, the lighting's correct, and then the back is lit well enough so you can kind of see in the background. Now notice about the camera. The camera has an f-stop that focuses here, but you can see it's kind of blurry in the background. That's very specific to the camera I have that has the focus where it's not a super wide aperture where everything's in focus. Because if the aperture is too wide, or not too wide, but wider, then everything would be in focus, my background and myself. Well, the reason why this is more of a portrait aperture, the iris is closed down a little bit more. So here, this is in focus, right? But the background is not. And it puts more emphasis on me. So you're looking at me, but you can sort of see the background and kind of discern that, hey, those are probably pictures of my kid. I've got across there, I've got my man Jesus right here. Okay. I mean, there's just some subtle things, right? There's just things I want to convey in a very not so overt manner. But if someone was seeing the cues, they could see the cues. Am I making sense, or is these words kind of falling
Hey,
flat?
hey man,
Big
I'm so
time
glad
making
you're
sense.
going over this. The
Yeah.
Okay.
since COVID, Alex, like everyone had to adjust and figure this stuff out, man. So I appreciate you bringing
Yeah.
this to light. And I will say this to piggyback off of the conversation of the real estate agents. Um, I just can't help to think, like you said, it's affecting everyone's business if we're not showing up right, and not just like on these calls, but with our obviously our one-on-one, our interviews, our clients. I can't help but think that. Can you imagine like an Amanda Maldonado shows up and she's like, "Nope, I'm out," just because of what she
Yeah.
sees, right? Um, and I don't want
Yeah.
that for anybody. I
Yeah.
want I want that gal on my team. I want it on somebody's on here's team. So let's do it.
Absolutely. It helps all of us. It just only enhances the environment. We don't want to ever embarrass and de-edify the opportunity because I think that's what it does. Okay, so I hear you. It's like, well, actually, I can't afford a $700 camera. I can't afford a $200. Actually, the teleprompter setup I discovered on Amazon. It's like $244 to have a teleprompter set up with your computer. It's really, really cool. In fact, I use it at home. And some of you can tell maybe that um, this background can be green screen. So I have a green screen. This is how anal I am. Okay. I'm just telling you. I have a green screen at home. Scott Mills kind of does it too, which is cool. So you can't sometimes really tell if Scott's somewhere else because he has a picture of his office. So I have this picture behind me. And here's how you can tell where if I'm at home is my mic is on the other side. Okay. I'm giving up my secrets. Okay. So you can tell my mic stands on this side. That's how you can tell I'm at home. But you can't sort of tell I'm at home because I have a picture of my background on and a green screen, right? Why do I use a green screen? Because you're, a false background shows up way better on a green screen than, if you just had it, and you can see kind of things fade in and out. So I have it lit properly so that, it's harder to tell, although I could tell. There are little things that you can tell. I won't tell you exactly, but if you really looked at it, you can tell that I'm in a different place. But at least it looks like I'm in my office, right? Now, sometimes on occasion, there's, I'll show that I am at home because I think that's another kind of a cool vibe sometimes that, I can work from home. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But in fact, it just kind of enhances like Rocco's background. You can tell he's like at home. I think you're at home, Rocco. But hey, isn't it cool that you can do this from home? Remember, what we're talking about is the digital revolution where you can work from home. Okay, so you don't need an office. So I'm okay as long as your background is a cool background. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so but if your background is trash, then turn your camera off. But let me say this about that. Turning your camera off is not as good as having your camera on. I've been on some very professional mentoring calls where they require you to have your camera on, and actually online courses they require you to have your camera on. And I can see why, because they want to, number one, see you're participating, see that you're into the training, right? And everyone evaluates everyone's Zoom backgrounds. Let me tell you, and again, I win the prize every time, every room I'm in, because mine looks the best out of all of them. And they've said that as much, all right? It's not just my opinion, but because I take time enough to think about how I want to present myself, I want to present myself the best of anyone else on the Zoom call. And if someone can show up as good as me, more kudos to them because that tells me something about them, right? That impresses me. Okay. Does that make sense? Totally impresses me. And it impresses me when they're looking into the camera and I know, okay, this person has got a center cam or they are staring into the camera, even though their picture is over here, right? Mary and I have had this discussion a gazillion times, and she was totally unaware until I mentioned it. And then sometimes, you know, she's fixed it. Okay. Even though she's not sometimes staring exactly at the camera, it's close enough, right? Close enough for government work. But again, why am I pounding this hard? Because you affect everyone else's business on this call. And the last thing we want to do is hurt someone else's business. We don't want to embarrass this opportunity if someone has a brand new person and then in their mind they're thinking, gosh, this is a ragtag bunch of so-and-sos that don't give a crap. See, we don't want someone thinking, if I bring a guest on here, they are going to just, that is the worst thing that could ever happen to any of us working to build the business. Does that make sense? Here's the other thing about having your camera off. If someone, a professional, presents themselves and has a great background, they're used to doing professional Zoom calls, right? When someone's camera's off, what does that tell them? Someone speak.
Hiding something.
They're
Shady.
hiding something.
That or they're not prepared.
Multitasking.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're not prepared, or they're
Walking
doing other
around the
things.
house.
Yeah, they're doing other things, right? So I would rather have your camera off if you're not presentable. But my point is, please be presentable. Have a great background, look good, smell good. The other thing too, because you're on Zoom, like I'm not in my underwear. Okay. I could prove it to you. I don't think I have to. The problem with being on camera looking good, but not being in your full outfit is that in your mind, you're deceiving the people looking at you. So you have this deception mode. You're in deception mode. And I don't know how you can be sincere and honest with someone on your Zoom call when you're purposely deceiving them that you are looking professional, that you can actually get up from your Zoom call and have pants on, right? You're not like in shorts or your pajama pants. Okay. Because I think the whole person concept is, am I dressed professionally? Am I dressed where I look good when I get up from the Zoom call or whatever, right? Again, here's why I'm talking about this, because how you think about yourself exudes in how you present the business. Does that make sense? How you show up totally impacts how you think. Dennis has his hands up. Dennis. Dennis, did you want to say something? I don't hear you if you are talking.
I was having trouble unmuting. Sorry. The I think I was talking to one of my downline agents, and she's new and she's working, man. She's making dials, and I was over the weekend. I was on the phone with her. It's like 12 times, and she has a little girl, and her little girl is 4 years old, and she was listening to us talking. And some of the coaching I was doing relative talking with her clients for her prospects. And the little girl said, "Mommy, are you making up stories?" And the agent, her name's Jennifer, she immediately said, "No, honey, we're actors." And I thought, boom, that's exactly right. We step onto the stage of our profession. And we do this, and it's not unique to insurance, of course, but if we can embody that actor who's there with not maliciously, but with a good intent, man, and improve that craft, that part of our craft. How well does that serve us, right? You've made point after point after point tonight as to how well that serves you, from the intricacy of your lighting and use of a teleprompter, and on and on and on. Each of these are very valuable points. Years ago, I used to use a mirror when I would talk to people on the phone, and I would look at the mirror because I knew what it did to my voice, and those types of things. I think this is a very important topic for all of us, and I've made mistakes. I've treated it too casually in the past, and I've gotten some correction. Patrick's offered me some good pointers at times. So I think this is a really good topic.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think it is. I think it really speaks to, in fact, let me share with you so you can.
Alex, while you're pulling that up, I'll make a point here.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll turn my video on. I don't look professional tonight. I'm usually in a polo shirt.
yeah.
But I'll make this point. I remember years ago, it's probably been 8 or 9 years ago at a hotspot, we covered this exact topic. And
Oh, yeah,
dude,
okay.
it has stuck with me all these years where you were talking about the gig line. I think that's what it's
The
called.
gig line, yeah.
Yeah, and you were talking about how like, your tie and your belt there it's, all straight and you're presentable and it's all coming back full circle. So,
That's fun.
that's something like I said, it's stuck with me all these years, man.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. It it's the same. This is a different world, isn't it? It's crazy that we're talking about this because back in the day we used to do live meetings all the time, and then we had to, we transitioned to Zoom even before COVID, but we were kind of treating it casually, and then just coming to realize. And Pablo, thank you for reminding me. But here's my this is kind of a quick view. I don't know if you can see this very well, but anyway, here's my teleprompter screen, and then this is a second screen on my computer that projects in reverse. So because it's a mirror behind my camera's behind here, okay, and so the projection on the screen has to be reverse upside down, so that when I see it in the mirror, it's presented exactly, and then you can see my big ass monitor right next to it. Okay, so this is my setup. Um, I know I'm spending a lot of time on this, but I think it's really the attitude and mindset of caring enough to want to, present well. So hopefully, I'm going to get this out, and people just need to really understand it. So my suggestion, there's a thing called Center Cam. You can look that up online, or there are other different types of cameras that hang down from the top of your monitor. Like if you don't want to invest in a more of a digital type camera, there's some tricks to doing it properly. Then the center cam thing works great because it hangs the the camera in the middle of the screen so that you can position, because it's all about positioning the Zoom screen behind the camera so you can stare at the client or the person, you stare at the camera while you're looking at the background of the people on the Zoom call. And that helps 1,000%. Like I hate using 1,000 because that's not a real number to me. 100%, it helps 100%. That's one of my pet peeves. I never say 1,000%, but 100% it'll improve your connection. Okay. So you can do this incrementally. If your lighting is crappy, get a cheap light on Amazon, a personal light you can stick like right here. That's a soft light. You can adjust the softness of it so it casts the same kind of effect that I have on my screen, right? 3-point lighting, you can reproduce that for really cheap. The stuff is really cheap. But again, it's an intentionality involved in it that makes all the difference in the world, in my opinion. Okay. Now imagine if everyone on the call, if we're doing any kind of opportunity meeting, or if we're doing our regular agency meeting, and everyone looks super sharp, they look great. Gosh, imagine people coming into our team, they rise to the level of the standard of the team. Okay. That's what eventually I want to see, that where people go, whoa, these people look good. Here's the other thing, Zoom presence. So let me address this. RBF. Okay. One thing that drives me crazy on TWCs, and you will see it even with our top leaders, they just are so unaware, right? If you ever see me on TWC, if I'm a guest or if I'm running it, if I'm not speaking, I'm always smiling. I'm smiling. Yeah, when I'm doing my online class for like my coaching, I'm always smiling. I'm doing this. And it like sometimes hurts by the end of a 2-hour class. But if someone's looking at me on Zoom, they see me smiling. And I'm nodding my head. I'm doing this. I'm just like into it. I am genuinely into it when it comes to the coaching class. I'm just very enthusiastic about it. But even though I'm not feeling enthusiastic, I pretend I'm feeling enthusiastic. Here's the crazy thing. If I'm smiling on camera, I start feeling good. Okay. It's like if you pretend to laugh, just the action of laughing makes you feel better. It's weird. It's actually an NLP thing, right? That if you model the exterior, the interior will change to how you're presenting the exterior. So again, here's the bottom line. When you act interested and you smile, you're going to be interested and you're going to be happier. Okay. It's a really cool thing. that you can control that, even though you're having a crappy day, when you come on Zoom, be smiling. And some of y'all, you look so depressed. It's like, gosh, I'm so glad I'm not you. I'm thinking in my mind when I scan the Zoom call, I'm putting it in gallery mode right now. I'm going to put it in gallery mode. And in gallery mode, you get to see everybody. I have to take it to my other screen. All right. So who's smiling? Okay, we got a few smiles on here. Do you see how it changes when people are smiling on camera? Look at Scott Mills. He's smiling even though he's driving. It changes everything, right? It changes everything. So here's the kind of the here's the mindset. The mindset again, this is all mindset. This is you might think this is all cosmetic, but it's mindset. If someone comes on the call and everyone's happy, it's like, man, I want me some of whatever they're smoking. You know, they want to be part of a team that's happy and smiling. And here's the thing. I don't care how you feel. You could have a crappy day. I could give a crap about you having a crappy day. I care about you. So it's like, but don't bring it with you, please. Because if you bring your crappy day here on the Zoom call, you're bringing your crappy day to everybody and you're crapping on everybody else who's smiling. And all 50 people on this call could be having a crappy day, but if everyone's smiling, your day just got a little bit better, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like the exterior means so much. You have no clue. It just means so much, right? It's there's something to it. There's a psychology behind it, okay? And I just think that it'll help everyone's business. But more importantly, it'll help you because your attitude and mindset becomes a team player who doesn't want to let their team down. You're playing the game when you come on a Zoom call. So play the game because you care about your teammates and you want to contribute just by being on it and showing up with a great attitude, regardless of how you feel. Like I said, I don't care how you feel. Just look like you are into it. Okay. And you will be into it, you know. But Alex, that's so fake. Dude, seriously, you have no idea how important this is for you, right? And Mary says, I will gladly drink the Kool-Aid. That's what I'm talking about, man. Drink the Kool-Aid. Drink the Kool-Aid. Anyway, anyone got any questions or comments on the stuff I've covered?
I was just going to say, especially when I'm talking to new agents coming on, I'll tell them, I'll say, drink the Kool-Aid, get in the canoe and paddle in the same direction with us, right? And I try to get them to participate from that team perspective because that's, again, such a good point. And one of the things we struggle with, people are not used to, and I've run across this with many recruits. I know everybody on the call has. They're not used to participating in that fashion.
Yeah.
And people need demonstration, and they need demonstration, examples, and training in those exact things.
Yeah.
And they don't realize how it projects verbally, visually, whether they're face to face with somebody or over a camera or over a phone. You and all of us on here probably have modeled people to the point, their movements to the point where they're now modeling us, and we open them up physically through our movements. We have to be good at doing that verbally also, and over a camera in this world.
Yep, absolutely. Another thing that if you are on your camera, put it out of this mode and put it in horizontal mode, and the camera will pick up a little bit better in a 16:9 format instead of being in the whatever format that is. You can see a little bit more. It's wider. The other thing too, framing. So some of y'all, I don't know how. Okay, this is again a pet peeve. like some of you all frame yourself like you're over here and your camera, you're you're thinking you're on the Zoom call when you're actually not. You're next to the Zoom call. Like, does this drive you crazy when I'm even looking at the camera? Actually, it's more like this. They could do this. They're not even looking at the camera because they think they're centered into the camera. That drives me nuts. Okay, so one thing that you saw that autofocus kick in. So here's one thing. It's called the three-quarter line. Notice where my eyes are. My eyes are roughly 2/3 to 3/4 above the horizon down here, right? In fact, I'm so anal. I actually have a level, right? I have a level that I put on my camera to make sure that it's level here. I'm it's just nuts. I'm a little bit crazy that way, but I want to make sure everything's level. And then the framing is 3/4, right? Or 2/3, like where my eyes are. And if you ever crop a portrait, it's that same rule, like that 2/3 rule. The eyes are 2/3 to do proper framing. So if you ever crop a picture, again, details matter. One thing at the Air Force Academy they taught us was pay attention to details. Like, when we get ready for Saturday morning inspection, we dust every nook and cranny of our rooms. There's not one piece of dust that the inspector should find. And they've got white gloves, right? Remember those days, Dennis? And they are swiping the windows, the aluminum windowsill. They're looking at their white gloves. And if they find dust, you know what that means? That means it could kill someone in the future. In other words, if you are not paying attention to detail when you're doing your pre-flight checklist, you could kill yourself and your backseater. Okay. Guys like Dennis, who is operational, know exactly what I'm talking about. Paying attention to detail, it is so mega important. So Tabitha has her hand up.
Yeah, real quick, I just wanted to make a quick comment. You jokingly said that it's anal. I don't call it anal. I think it's excellence because I remember when I first met you or saw you on camera, I was like, oh my gosh, what kind of camera is he using? I don't know if Pablo even remembers that I mentioned that to him, but I have never seen anyone look so crisp and clear on Zoom. I mean, it was really impressive, really impressive. So I can tell that you put effort and attention and excellence in all of it. So your efforts do not go in vain, trust me, because I've never seen anybody look this crisp and clear on a Zoom. So one of these days I'll get to the point where I will be able to invest the money in the type of, you know, camera that you have. But until then, I'll find something comparable more in my budget, but
Yeah.
it does difference. It really does.
Good. I'm glad thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. It does make a difference, and it'll make a difference in how you feel about yourself too. Like, you know, it gives you confidence, that at least you're not coming off being amateur-ish, right? And I did a thing. I think I've sent out options that are very affordable options to look better on screen. Maybe I'll do that again. I'll send something out, but yeah, you don't have to like drop, a whole bunch of money on it. But in the future, as you're thinking about this business and relating to your agents, like ultimately you want to meet them face to face, right? You want to travel to Maryland and meet all y'all and wherever you need to go to meet people and meet them face to face and help them out, but in the meantime, when you can't do that, at least paying attention to how you come off on the screen, because you want them thinking the same thing, like, dang, I look like a schlub compared to Alex or Tabitha or whomever, right? That they want to amp up their game as far as how they look. So this is really good. I'm glad we got a chance to talk about this because that bothered me all day, Pablo, to no end. And thanks for bringing that up originally, because I think that if we amp up our game for each other, particularly when it comes to the leadership team, these are the kinds of things, these subtle things are very, very important. Okay. It's these subtle things. And you all, man, you all can do it. You all can amp up your game, for everyone else. Remember, you're doing it for the people on the team. You're doing it for the team. You're doing it for yourself, but doing it for yourself helps the team. So think about the team. And that's really the leadership team that you guys signed up to be on. These are the little subtle things that you need to learn, that I need to remember to teach. Right. These are so important. You cannot believe it. I spent a couple hours with Andy in Thailand. We talked about these subtle things, right? The other things are things like I talked to Pablo about. So I'm just going to cover this and then we'll be off. It's If you listen to the Andy Albright, that hour long talk in Thailand on the extension trip, he talks about the relationship building, and look, as I told Pablo today, we're going to find mercenary agents who say they say, oh, I'm a team player. And then they leave you because they get 5% more in commission, right? Those kind of agents are going to come and go, and they're going to be temporary, and they're never going to really find their ability to grow a team because they are acting in a manner that it's really, remember, your people duplicate twice the bad things you do, and the good things you do, they will duplicate half. Okay. That's a saying in the business. They'll duplicate twice the bad things and they'll only duplicate half of the good things. Right. So if you're going to leave with no loyalty to a team that's helped you in so many ways, then you're never going to grow a team of people that will be loyal to you because you weren't loyal. Do you see how that works? But when you maintain loyalty because you truly care, that you're part of the team, your people will learn that and duplicate that as well. So the point is you be the model of what you want duplicated in your group. Okay. You be the model. And when you can model loyalty because you care, you're going to attract people in your business that will do the same thing, and they'll stay with you for the rest of their careers in the life insurance industry, because you create a relationship with them. So the subtle things about relationship building, so important, just so important. Learning about people's story. And so that's one thing you're going to start hearing me do, is to learn more about your story. Why did you join the insurance business? What's the backstory behind you wanting to do something crazy like 100% commission instead of the safe job situation, right? Learning about your people. That's going to be a very much of a running theme throughout these leadership calls that we're putting together. Again, I haven't really nailed down a regular time to do it, but I will. Now that I've got some people who have committed, then we're going to be working with you to learn these things and to get all the super important subtle things out there so that you can build a long-term business. Does that make sense, gang? All right. Any questions, comments?
This is awesome. Great call, Alec. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I finally got stationary by the end of the call.
There's Scott. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes.
I'm sorry. I just drove into my mom's carport because I had did some implementations today, or did one a while ago in Corinth. So that's
Awesome.
why I was driving. Appreciate everything.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. It all makes a difference. Thanks everybody for being on here. I hope I shared stuff that, totally makes sense to you. Next time, let's get your framing correct, get your lighting as best as you can do it. Look into the camera, okay, and look sharp. Have your logo, your logo wear on. In fact, I'm thinking about putting together, an ABN financial integrity swag, stuff for y'all. But anyway, all right. Thanks everybody. God bless. Take care. We'll see you. We'll see you later. God bless you.
Thanks, Alex. God
Bye.
bless, man.
Thank you.
You're welcome.